there's a caveat with this, but at least those two people must be individually certified. And we're going to talk about what that means later on. In addition to those two people, if you are engaged with youth exchange, everyone on your youth exchange committee must be individually certified or vetted. We use those two words back and forth. So, and if your club has other youth programs like RILA or Interact or Early Act, or you sponsor other youth programs, then those folks who are having contact with the youth, routine contact with the youth, also need to be individually certified or vetted. Additionally, Rotarians and other volunteers who might have more than casual contact. And so these things are not mutually exclusive from each other. So for instance, if you are the person who drives students to and from all the RILA events in your community or all of the Interact events in your community, you need to be individually certified or vetted. And of course, we have a goal that every Rotarian and non-Rotarian volunteer in the district will complete the online youth protection awareness course. So we've got a big job in front of us. When I was at PETS this year, I told the club presidents I wanted to take a burden off of their shoulders. And frankly, I still have that as my goal. And that burden, part of that burden will go on to the youth protection officer's shoulders to ensure that these things are being followed. All right, so we're going to move down to important definitions. So there are a couple of steps that every club has to go through in order to be certified. One of them is that there is a process by which the president-elect, the club youth protection officer, and the club youth services chair, or it might be the youth exchange chair, need you will have a link sent to you once all of those people have been identified in the system that says you have read and agreed to follow the district youth protection policy. So it is, I'm still working with club presidents to determine who those people are. But again, if you're on this call and you're a president-elect or a youth protection officer, please email me with that information if you know who the president of your club is for 2021 and who your youth protection officer and youth services chair will be. If your club does absolutely no youth programs, your youth protection officer and your youth services chair may be the same person, but you cannot be doing any youth programs. If you're doing a youth program outside of that, for instance, if you have an Interact club, make the Interact club your youth protection or your youth services chair. So, and remember, club president-elects cannot, or club presidents cannot serve in any of those other roles. So the goal here is to always have at least 2 people individually certified in every club. And that, again, is just another safety mechanism that's available. So we've talked a little bit about this already. Well, we've talked about that piece. So that's one step to getting clubs certified. The second step is the process of individual certification. And or we call it vetting. So it involves, again, completing an application, having a written interview. It's not an in-person or a phone call interview, having reference checks done and a criminal records check or a background check, depending on which district that you're in.
One question,
Yeah.
and that's what's more than casual contact?
So that's the very next definition on the screen. Casual contact are persons, well, I'll just let you read it. In fact, Joe Quinn, come off mute, my friend, and read that. Casual contact.
Casual, let's see, persons having casual contact, incidental and infrequent group contact, are persons not directly responsible for the youth, but who may provide incidental transportation or invite a youth to an event such as dinner, a movie, sports event, weekend activity, or travel approved by the host family and the YEO, if youth is a Rotary Youth Exchange student. Once again, casual contact must be infrequent and incidental so that a regular pattern is not developed. Further, casual contact must take place in a group setting with no reasonably foreseeable risk of abuse or harassment. So we use a rule of three, I think Mike calls it. It's best, even in casual contact, to have three people, not just you and the youth, but a third person, preferably an adult, present to protect you and the situation from a violation.
Thanks, Joe. And this is where things sometimes get really complicated. People think, oh, as long as we're in a group, it's okay for person A to have all kinds of contact with our students, but it's not. If person A is having routine contact with students, it could be at a Rotary Club meeting, it could be at a community event, it could be a whole host of places, but it's that routine contact. So if they're having routine contact with a student, then they need to be individually certified or vetted, even if that is in a group setting. So I see a quick question that relates to this about criminal background checks. Does the criminal records check have to be specific to Rotary, or can it be transferred from another organization? This is a great question, and this is going to show where I'm at in my own learning curve. So Mike, I'm actually going to let you take that one because I think I know what the answer is, but I'm going to let you share it for certain.
Okay, I missed the first part of the question.
Can a background check be transferred from another program to Rotary?
The answer is no, it cannot. And the reason it's not, in the United States, it's illegal. You cannot transfer background check information from one organization to another. The person that gave permission for the background check to be run gave it to the specific organization. So in the United States, you're breaking a federal law if you actually share background check information. I suspect that it's the same in Canada, but I don't know that for certain.
Thank you, Mike. The other thing about background checks is for our program, we need to make sure that in Canada that you're having a vulnerable sector background check. That means it's not just a generic one, but it will touch on youth, seniors, and other vulnerable populations as defined by BC law or Canadian law. So that's the answer to that question. Again, the club youth protection officer needs to be someone who's appointed by the club president. So here's the fun and exciting piece. Right now, Youth Exchange uses something called YAY, or the Youth Exchange Administrative Hub. And if you are having, and that is where all Youth Exchange volunteers need to be individually certified and vetted. So the Youth Exchange chair, their committee members, any Rotarian and or non-Rotarians that are engaged with youth on more than a casual basis need to be vetted through the YAY system, as we call it for short. If you're both involved with, let's say, Interact, and Youth Exchange, we would ask that you get yourself vetted through the Youth Exchange program. Because it is at this point more comprehensive. And so that's the program we would want you to go through. We currently, and the operative word here is currently, are using a system called the Wessex Youth Protection Administration System, or Wessex YPA, for all other club functions. So club presidents, club youth protection officers, club youth services, RILA, Interact, all other programs go through the Wessex Youth Protection System. What I'm excited to tell you about is that we will be moving away from that system sometime, we hope, in the next 45 days to a program that's much easier to manage and navigate. Those of you who've experienced Wessex Youth Protection System know that it can be a challenge at times, and so we're going to be moving away from that. So that's the good thing. I'm pretty excited. Tommy, I'm seeing some questions in the chat. Do you want to go back and pick them up?
If you wouldn't mind, I think Ian has his hand up. Ian, would you? I'm gonna have you.
My question, Becky, has to do with the requirements of the Wessex system right now. And so 3 years ago, a few of my members of my club were certified through Wessex, and I see 2 of them now. It's been 3 years. Do we need to renew our criminal record checks or vulnerable youth criminal record checks here in Canada? They need to be renewed in a certain timing?
At this point, Ian, there isn't a requirement for us to go back and do that, but we are going to be changing the district youth protection or the district policy around this to make it be 3 years on both sides of the district. So that's the current status, Ian.
And similarly, with having done the awareness course from the district, is that going to have a timing to it when you have to repeat?
I'm not, you know, I love these questions. At this point, no, but as we make some updates to that, as Rotary International policy may change, or if it changes, then yes, we would be pushing that back out to people to redo.
And just the last little gripe. As I commonly ask people who are dealing with youth to do both things, their awareness training and their criminal record check, I commonly get, oh, I've done that already. And that leads from the confusion that the awareness check requires, I think it's 3 reference checks, 1 to be a Rotarian or less. And of course, the criminal record check requires another set of references, I think 2 in Canada. And they always feel that, well, I've done my reference checks, I don't need to do any more. And they get all kind of antsy about that. I don't think there's a fix, but I just had that the other day again, where someone said, oh, I've done all those things. I said, well, no, you've only done the awareness piece. You still need to do a criminal record check. It's a different function. Yes, it has more reference checks within it. Anyway,
so youth protection itself the youth protection awareness training doesn't require anybody to have a criminal records check for that. The training aspect. Are you talking about people who need to be individually certified and vetted?
Yes, that's where it's coming up. When they go through the Wessex program, they have to provide, I think it's 3 references.
Yes.
And when they complete that action, I turn around and tell them, now go do a criminal record check, and they're required to produce 2 more references. And it just seems to always be a point of, oh, I just did all that. Why am I doing it again? Anyway.
Well, because the criminal records check is going through, as you know, a different system than the vetting process. I wish there was an easy fix, but in Canada, it's not, well, it's not easy anywhere, so.
Becky, next question. I think you may have already answered this, but I just want to confirm. If a person has more than usual contact with a YE student, can they be vetted through Wessex, or do they have to be vetted in YEAH?
We would prefer that they go through YEAH, the YEAH system, if it's with youth exchange students.
Next question. How current does the criminal record check need to be?
Well, as criminal records checks can't be transferred from program to program, they will be done at the time a person's going through individual vetting. And as we just talked about, we anticipate the district to make a change to that policy at the next council meeting, which would be, we would go to every 3 years in Canada and in the United States.
Yeah, this is Terry. I'm Bright. Can you hear me?
Hey, Terry.
Yep.
How are you? I'm Youth Protection Officer at East Jefferson County Rotary. In the Washington State Patrol criminal record check, I understand that each club has to file a nonprofit account application. Is that true?
Yes, in order to have the free watch check through Washington State Patrol.
So I need to file the application.
Yes. So again, we've talked a little bit about this before, but here's the club certification process. The president-elect, the youth protection officer, and the youth services chair have to read and acknowledge that they will comply with the district and Rotary International policies on youth protection. Those same people need to be individually certified. We want all Rotarians who've had more than casual contact with youth in Rotary programs to be individually certified. And of course, the goal is to have everybody take the online youth protection awareness training. Now, Tani, I'm going to throw this back at you because your club is one of the few clubs that has 100% participation in this last bullet number 4. Can you tell us what you did to make that happen?
You bet. So we benefit from having a small club, and we actually did the training together in a club meeting, and then asked the Rotarians to go in and take the certification quiz afterward. So we were able to learn about the scenarios together and better understand the content that we needed to know, and then sent reminders until everybody went through the process of taking the quiz.
So that's one great strategy. Does anybody else on the phone have another strategy that they've used in their club? And would you like to come off mute for a second and tell us what that is?
This is Pam, and our club is 126, so it's been it's taken me a long time. I'm down to the last 25. So what we did, because knowing the age of the club, knowing the motivation of going into the computer and taking this awareness program, I did I had 4 people help me, and we did a club certification at club time, broke them up in 4 different parts. And what was nice about it was we went through every question together. And when somebody, most of them would say, oh yeah, we agree with that, because then they knew and they understood the question and they understood what was happening. But there was a couple questions, as you know, in that awareness program that brings up a lot of questions. So there's some good discussions that happened with them. And so everybody was really thrilled about how that went. So, and it worked out well. It worked out really well. And I just have 25 more to do.
The next thing that will happen is that club presidents and these same people, the youth protection officer and the youth services chair, will get an email from Wessex about becoming individually certified. And so that also is in the process, and I'm watching how that's going. And actually we're moving along quite well given the setbacks that we had earlier this year. So again, I see a couple hands raised. Tani, are there questions with them?
There sure are. So first from the chat box, can the YP training be taken on a tablet now?
I don't think so. And Mike, are you still around?
Yes, I am.
Can you take it on a tablet?
Absolutely.
Okay, there you go.
All right, and then we have a question from Bonnie. You have a question, Ian?
I do, but it's probably, I'm just slightly ahead of myself. The screen that's up for Becky right in front of us now, I've had that email as a youth protection officer, and I've clicked on both those links and read them. And in there, I was concerned because it seems to me when I hit agree, I'm agreeing that all of our club will have had this training that we've been speaking about for a little while. And to date, we haven't. And so I haven't clicked agree yet because it's not true. And I just wonder if I'm interpreting this correctly. I intend to get that training done in the Rotary year in front of us, but it hasn't occurred.
Ian, that's what we're looking for.
Oh, okay.
You know that it has to take place.
Okay, that's the core of my question, because so far I haven't agreed to the question. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, and then I think just one more, Dennis. Oh, two more, but yeah, Dennis first.
Okay. Hi, Becky. I got your email about, probably a week or two ago. And we'd already completed all of our training. And I submitted that in to you, so I don't know whether you got it or not, but we did do it. We were certified at the very end of last year. So does that carry over?
If people are, let me think my way through this one for a minute. You know what, Dennis, let me come back to you on that one, okay?
Okay.
If people have been individually certified in the past and they're carrying their roles over as individuals, i.e. the youth protection officer or youth services chair, they will remain individually certified. But they're going to still get the link that says we need them to read and agree to abide by the district policy, so that's current every year. So the individual certification process is actually, this is a great process. And again, I'm going to be pushing the link out to the people that are on the call. It's an online application. It is an interview, but again, that interview is in written format. There's a series of questions that you need to answer. It involves 3 reference checks, and I'm going to ask you to please pick references that have emails, because it's a highly automated system. And if you send me someone who doesn't have an email address, then that means I have to pull the form up, call them, and hope that I have the form available and them on the phone at the same time, and it will just slow the process down. It is your club's youth protection officer's responsibility to make sure that you've had a criminal background check and or a records check. And in this case of the United States, they also have to do a check on the National Sex Offenders Registry system. Once all of that is done, then the person has been individually certified. And I hear people periodically saying, oh, it takes forever, it takes forever. It really can be done very quickly. The one hang up oftentimes for the Canadians is that it takes longer, is the criminal records and background check. But you can, I've seen the system be entirely completed on an individual in less than a couple of hours, as long as everybody is diligent about watching the system. The other thing I would say to you is that it's critical to make sure people check their spam and junk mails, because depending on how their system is set up, sometimes these emails that are coming from Wessex right now end up in your junk files or your spam folders. So again, as you enter your references, make sure they have emails available and that you notify them to look in their spam or junk box. So again, the club president, the youth protection officer, and the club youth services chair need to go through the individual certification process for certain. And then additional people in your club, like your Interact chairs or co-chairs, your RILA people, all of those people also need to go through individual certification. So here's a list of people who often have more than casual contact with kids. And these are the people that you need to think about in relationship in your club of folks who should go through the individual certification process. Again, Youth Exchange has a system that's unique to them, but the other people may include your RILA chairs and counselors, Rotaract, your youth services people, your Interact chairs, Rotary mentors for youth, Rotary tutors, Early Act, and as you can see, any other Rotarian or volunteer that's having more than casual contact. So there's a list, and there's support available. If you're not certain, just feel free to email me and ask me, or call me or text me and say, well, what about this person? Maybe they're only having a one-time contact with a student, like a one-time contact with kids at a camp, and you go in for one day as a group of Rotarians and offer a special experience. No, those people would not in that role, if that was their only role, wouldn't need to be individually certified. We would, however, really encourage you to make sure that those people have all taken the online youth protection awareness training. So there are, as Mike has already pointed out, the online youth protection awareness training course link is available on the district website. It's easy to get to. It doesn't take that long. And frankly, many people go through it and go, wow, well, that was pretty intuitive. I think I knew most of that already. But here's exactly where you find it. You go into the district website, and you can click on youth programs or youth services. You can find it there, or you can find it here. You can send yourself the training link, or you as the youth protection officer can go in and send everybody in your club the link. I'm going to try and stay away from sending everybody in all of your club's links. That's why we have youth protection officers in the club, is for them to help do this. So there's a couple of questions in the chat box. So Tani, do you want to go back to them? And Mike, I see a really valid question. Mike says that in our new system, your volunteers must have an email address. The current system, you can enter them without an email address. And then oftentimes I just reach back out to you and send you a link that you can go in and change that. So Tani, questions?
Let's see, where can you find the list of people in your club that have taken the training?
So that's actually available on the current Wessex database if you have access to that, and I can send that link out. I'm more than willing to send that link out to club youth protection officers or club presidents. And Jane, if you, I'll make sure that your husband gets that. How does that sound?
And then, does a member of a club involved in RILA need to be specifically designated a RILA chair?
No, RILA chairs may not be the member of that club, Tom, but if you have a club member that is involved with RILA, they do need to be individually certified through the Wessex YPA system.
And then, when are you switching from Wessex?
We hope sometime in the next 45 days, which is why I'm not going to go into a lot of training about Wessex. Right now, I'm just sending the information out to as many people as to all the club presidents and those who I know who need to go through it. For instance, youth protection officers and youth services chairs. And trust me, no one's going to be more happy than Mike and I when this is all done.
Will all the records be transferred to the new program? Yes.
For those of you in the meeting that are familiar with the Rotary Youth Exchange Administrative Hub, or YAY as we call it, the new program is being developed by the creator of that system, and it will look very familiar to you. For those of you who are only familiar with Wessex, you're going to love the new system, because you'll be able to do things such as pull reports that you cannot do right now.
Will those who have completed CRIM and YPA in Yay also have their information transferred to a new system?
Mike, I'm going to punt that one to you. So if somebody is vetted through the youth protection system, will it show up in the new system?
So those who have completed everything in Yay will have their information transferred to the new system. Yes, the two systems, there'll be one-way data feed from Yay to the new system. It won't go from the new system to Yay, but it'll go from Yay to the new system.
The subtlety behind that, though, is that if someone starts out, let's say they're your Interact chair this year, and we get them set up through the Wessex/new system, and then next year they become your youth exchange chair or a volunteer on the youth exchange committee, they're going to have to go through the Yay system to get individually vetted as a youth exchange volunteer. There's some things we should be able to move from one point to the other, I believe, like background checks. But we'll work our way through those hiccups as we get there.
I have a question. So would it be better if we're trying to get somebody vetted is just use the Yay program instead of the Wessex?
No, understand that Yay is for youth exchange people only. Okay. Yeah. I see that look, Pam. The new system, while being developed by the same creator, it's not the same program because there are some different requirements for the two systems.
Okay, this is Frank Dacca. I'm going to be the Youth Protection Officer for Tacoma 8 starting July 1st. Becky has helped me immensely. And she sent me a great link of all the clubs, and then you can go to another link which shows all the members, and then it has 3 different columns. One shows whether they've had the background check, and then the other one is whether they've done the awareness training, and then they have a second one which is YSVA, and it says at the bottom that's Youth Service Volunteer Affidavit Form. What does that mean? Is that part of the individual certification, or and why is that important to have that column?
Great question. That is the same as the volunteer application.
All right.
So it just had a different title years and years ago.
Yes. And so as we get ourselves over to the new program, you're going to see some of these antiquated titles like that one. They'll be updated.
But in my case, I'm not a volunteer, so that shows that I've gone through the individual certification. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That column.
Yes.
It just, like you say, just needs to get carried over.
Yeah, it's just an old title, Frank, for the volunteer application.
Okay.
And vetting process.
Okay.
Our next question is from Andy.
I am brand new to being the youth protection officer in my club, Twin Cities Rotary. Very excited about it. Gotta admit, I'm very nervous. I want to ensure that I'm taking all the necessary steps. I do believe, and I'll get with my own club about this, but I want to ensure that in order for me to be listed as the YPO of my club, my incoming club president for the 2020-2021 year, he is the one who needs to send me the link to make sure that I am registered as YPO?
Nope, Andy, you can email me at that address that was on the very first slide. And actually, if you can tell me not only who the YPO is, but if your club has a youth services chair.
That's me.
Okay, perfect. You can email me.
All in one.
You can email me straight away.
All right, I will get right on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Again, just as a reminder to people, my outgoing mail isn't going to get to you. It's taking anywhere from 2 to 5 days and sometimes hasn't shown up yet, but I will respond and you'll get the links. Yep, perfect. Thank you so much for being a part of this, and I will make sure we get a link out to all of you.